TruthSeekah and/or its affiliates are not responsible for any strange phenomena that may occur during or after listening to this podcast, which may include the following: heightened senses of awareness, psychic abilities, UFO sightings, alien contact, time loss, out-of-body experiences, ringing in the ears, ESP, lucid dreaming, increased synchronicities, astral projection, telepathy, stronger intuition, levitation, miraculous healings, and/or remote viewing. Please be advised to listen at your own discretion.
Won't you come and take me away? I just wanna be with you. Won't you come and take me away? To a place to walk on troubled seas, faith to stand when I don't believe. I just wanna be with you. Won't you come and take me away? I just wanna be with you. Won't you come?
You are now locked into the TruthSeekah podcast.
Gargoyles! Psychics! Everything's ungodly! Dark savage!
Streaming live at TruthSeekah.com.
She's not a Christian!
Give it up, y'all.
Your portal to the paranormal, esoteric, and all things spiritual.
She's tampering in dark-sided stuff!
And now, your host, TruthSeekah.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It's me, your host, TruthSeekah. We're back with another exciting episode of the TruthSeekah podcast. Got a special guest today. We're going to get into that interview here shortly. You guys are going to enjoy this discussion a lot. Trust me. Got to get to the business at hand and let all of you guys know who are supporting on Patreon that I am appreciative. Uh-oh. Okay. Wrong video. There's the Patreon video right there. I'm appreciative of everyone who is supporting over there. I got to give a shout out to everyone doing that. And what's so cool is that today on the interview, I'm actually going to be speaking with one of the patrons today. So this is somebody who's been supporting my work for a while now. And he just gotten behind the message and the vision. He's connecting with it. And I said, you know what? Let's sit down for a conversation. So this is really our first time talking live over camera. You guys are going to get to see that, and as well as talking for the first time. So he's been supporting for a while, so it's going to be for a very interesting show. Give a shout out to the newest patron that we have this month, and just today even, Jessica Riddle. Jessica, thank you so much for joining the family and supporting the work. And I got your emails and everything. Thank you for the kind words, and everyone out there who's watching live. You know, if you guys want, you can call in. The number streaming across the bottom of the video and across the top, and all the descriptions and all that good stuff. So a lot of cool stuff coming in the near future, and we will open up the phone lines here shortly. So with that being said, I think that's out the way. The you know what I'm saying, the patrons, I got to thank you guys every episode, because you guys are helping me do this stuff, and you know what I'm saying, work on the music. Got some awesome music that I'm working on, getting ready to upload that, mixing down some stuff today, trying to get on top of it, and doing some features for some people, reaching out, building, doing what we do, and consistency is the key. Thank you guys so much, for real. If you want to support, head on over to patreon.com/TruthSeekah and sign up for any level of giving. Really, it supports the work and supports the channel and everything I'm doing and trying to build over here. So patreon.com/TruthSeekah. You get unreleased music, extra podcast, patron only membership group that we have as well. So with that being said, we're going to get into the discussion here. I have my friend Adam Starseed Bay. What's going on, brother?
Not much, man. How you doing?
Doing well, man. Welcome to the show, bro.
Well, thanks for having me.
I know we got a lot of stuff in common. You said that you resonate with the work and you've been supporting it for a while. So on camera, man, thank you so much for doing that, brother. It means so much that that you believe in what I'm doing, that you support it financially, bro. Thank you.
Oh yeah, no problem. No problem.
So before we kind of get into anything, I know like in a lot of your pictures on Facebook and a lot of the stuff you share, you have a prayer shawl on. You're wearing your prayer shawl right now. For those who are watching on camera, Adam has a nice white prayer shawl. And so since he has his on, I figured I would break mine out too. I haven't worn mine in a very long time, but let me put mine on. Hold on. Repping that black prayer shawl, brother.
Right.
No doubt, man.
Yeah.
This is, you know what's so powerful about the prayer shawl is we talk about the secret place or the hiding place of going into the cave in the Old Testament, of hiding from your enemies and spending time with God, Creator God. The Jews would wear the prayer shawls and they would put them over their head, and they would literally go into their prayer closet and they would shut off the world, and they would be in this place where they would spend time with God under the prayer shawl. And that's what's really cool. And they would wear them everywhere they went. When they needed to pray, they would just go into that trance state like pretty much no matter where they were. So have you ever done that? Just had your prayer shawl on and been in that meditative state with the Most High?
Oh yes, I do that all the time. Not in public.
Yeah.
I have worn it a couple times.
Yeah.
There was actually a funny story I'll tell you real quick. I went rafting with my friends, and I didn't want to get sunburned. I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna bring my prayer shawl. And it was the most funniest thing because I don't really like to be in water that much. So I just had my prayer shawl on, and everyone was looking at me, and they were like, "Man, what the heck is that?" And I could imagine the perception of people seeing me. They're probably like, "Damn, who is that guy? Was it look like Jesus or what?"
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool. But no, I really love my prayer shawl a lot. It really allows you to connect, like you said, with the Father and with Spirit. Really
do you have the tassels on yours? Do you have the tassels of the seat seats? You want to explain that a little bit for the people watching, because a lot of people don't, you know what I'm saying, don't know what that means. If you know that,
actually, I don't even know what the tassels mean, honestly.
Okay, well, they're tied to remember the covenants, and almost like a rosary, which a rosary is kind of like the mala prayer beads, so that when you're praying, you're sitting there going through each knot, and each knot represents one of the commandments.
Oh, nice.
And so it's the same thing with the, I think it's 108 seeds on the mala necklace. And as you're praying the mala, you know, we see the Hindus do it. Also, you know what I'm saying, the Buddhists would do it as they're praying. So each prayer as they're moving it through their hands. And so it's pretty much the same symbology with the zit seats that actually remember the covenants of the Most High. That's what's really cool about it. Like during prayer, you go into and just count the blessings and just remember the covenants and stuff as well. And there was a bunch of that stuff. It's just like an outward symbol or an outward representation of an inward work or inward covenant that God has made with his people, and it's an everlasting covenant. And so you look in the Old Testament, you see a whole bunch of different symbols and stuff that was like, if it's symbols or putting the tassels on the doorpost and holding them as a frontlet between your eyes. Even the headpiece that you're wearing as well, the mitri, is wrapped a certain amount of times as symbolic to just represent the customs. Like as you're going through the ritual to remember what you're doing, versus like, oh, I'm just gonna put my clothes on for the day. Like they would actually wear this stuff under their clothes and stuff, which is really cool. I got some friends who were into it, and we studied Messianic Judaism for a couple of years, and we were into that. Nice. Picked up on all that stuff. So tying maybe Hebrew roots in with Christianity, and then tying in mysticism with it a little bit. What's your story, man? Because we want to talk about ET contact, alien contact, and some really far out stuff that we can get into with meditation and astral travel, remote viewing. But to kind of go back for like your religious roots and stuff, where did you start out at?
Basically, I've always been connected with the Christ energy, like since I was like 2 years old, since I can remember. But I never really knew about Christ, but I was born and raised in a Christian home. And my mom told me that like I said I wanted to give my life to Christ, right? So I've always had that connection. I went to a private church school So I've always had some kind of connection with Christ, and that's always been my foundation, and that's what I continue to this day to let people know that Christ has always been that foundation for me, not just for like the religious reasons or things like that, but it was always a story that really just fascinated me about on how he went into the world and it didn't allow the way of the world to overcome him. You know, he spoke his truth. Um, he laid down many parables, which parables is an amazing thing itself. But you know, it was just something about it. So I always used Christ as a foundation for myself,
Mm-hmm.
um, and just through any challenges that I went through. But as a whole, I mean, my childhood and teenage years, I spent a lot of time at home because I was homeschooled and everything. So I've had a very interesting experience.
So whenever you had that journey, that experience, was you guys going to church and stuff? I know you said your parents were religious, but were you raised in the church, like going to Sunday school and prayer services and things like that?
Oh yeah, yeah. We went to the church that I was going to school at.
Okay.
So I went there all the time, and then we ended up having my parents had a falling out with that church. So we kind of got out of that, and then I kind of bounced back and forth between churches with my cousins, kind of learning different things. Trying to just figure things out in life because I was so young. But I could never, and that was the thing with me is I never could really relate a lot with the church because it always felt like there's something missing. And like, I always went there to learn about Christ and everything like that, but it, the preacher itself, it never really resonated with me all the time unless they talked about self healing,
Yeah.
learning about how to heal yourself. That always clicked.
Mm-hmm. I think being very empathic, people can go to church and you can sense like ulterior motives and people trying to build crowds and move numbers and things like that. So it can be like a place that we're supposed to find healing and find freedom in, but many people going there are sensitive to the spirit realm and there's something that don't sit right, and many times people don't know what that is, or there's a reason why I don't fit in here, and you're the outcast because you're supposed to fit in. Like, this is the Christian thing to do. You know what I'm saying? Why do you have a problem with the pastor? Or why do you have a problem with some of the other members and things like that, right? So I think a lot of people, go to the churches and they don't fit in for a reason, but they just don't know it, and it creates problems. Why? They think it's something wrong with them, or maybe it's me. Maybe I'm not really a Christian. Maybe I'm not really saved, or this type of work.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like with me, I always ask questions. Always been kind of the question guy. Yeah, I was pretty shy too when I was young.
Mm-hmm.
But I always asked interesting questions. And the thing is too is when I was in churches is that I could always feel that energy around me. Whether it be I would see like bright lights and things like that. Just catching my eye because I always through my whole childhood and teenage years, I always had very deep dreams. I was haunted by shadow beings a lot, and it wasn't just in dream time, but in real time.
Yeah.
So that always was there for me. So that was an experience as well. But I couldn't really talk about it because I mean, it's like I didn't know what was going on. We didn't have the internet at the time. I
Yeah.
couldn't really talk to my parents about it. It just was an experience. Um, but going back to the church thing, yeah, I couldn't really relate with anybody totally because it just was like, I had different encounters than everybody. Not everybody took it seriously in the church.
Yeah,
It's
I
like they
know,
went
right?
to church.
That's the
They
weird
went to
thing.
church. Yeah, they went to church, and then as soon as they left the church, they were a totally different person. Um,
Yeah.
and it was just like, I don't know. And then I went to a church camp. Oh man, that was a totally different experience because I expected to be all, religious and loving God and all this stuff, and then people
Games
were
and stuff.
cussing.
Yeah.
Yeah, cussing. I was um I was bullied in there. Like I literally I had two people bullying me the whole time. Like, hey, give me your money. Hey, give me your candy and all this stuff. And I was just like, oh my gosh, this is a nightmare.
Yeah.
But it really, but as a whole, it really, all of my experiences I don't regret, because
Yeah.
as a whole, as you grow in life, you really realize why you had those experiences, and it's good to really, share them with everybody, because life is an experience and it is a journey.
Yeah.
It's a soul journey. It's pretty amazing.
Those times at the Christian camp, I guess it kind of depends on the denomination as well, because I know that like people are gonna be like that, kids are gonna be kids and things like that, and you have let's see, you have people who are having encounters though, so they're like, I don't know if that was the type of church camp you went to, because a lot of kids would come back after church camp and be like on fire for God, like in the youth group and stuff like that, and that was something to look forward to. Was it like that at all, or was it just like almost like a daycare, like a hangout? Was there any spirituality there at all, prayer and things like that?
Yes, it was very I mean, it was great the way it was set up, because we could, like, go shoot arrows, and we would go hiking and things like that. It was very Christian oriented, but it was the children, the kids that were there, that were just there just to be there.
Yeah.
It just was a hangout thing. So it was a unique experience. But for me, since I was getting bullied and all that stuff, it was a pretty tough situation for myself. Plus, I got a severe sunburn, and that didn't help anything. So
No. I want to say a quick shout out to everybody who's joining us in the chat room. Adam's in the chat room while he's on here as well. Adam's always in the chat room on like every episode, so shout out to him for always being a trooper, hanging out with us here. Lori, Jesse, Chris, Duke, what up, everybody? Jesse, yeah, I gave you a shout out at the beginning. I got your emails and gave you a shout out at the beginning of the episode. So thanks you guys for holding us down live on the chat room, and people who are listening to this after the fact, you got to check us out on YouTube. Go ahead and subscribe to get alerts when we go live, because I get messages and stuff all the time. People want to know when they can call in and stuff, so make sure you're doing that. Adam, wanted to ask you about the Holy Spirit. So, a lot of us have had these encounters which took the spirituality to another level of having an encounter. Most of us in churches or in home meetings and prayer groups. That's where mine happened when I gave my life to Christ, and had this overwhelming presence of the Holy Spirit come into my life, and it was a bodily manifestation. I began to shake and weep and cry, and it was this most beautiful, precious encounter that felt like all the drugs put together, but it was a beautiful feeling. Like it was an actual high that I got from it, and crying and tears and stuff like that. Did you have that encounter as well? Something similar?
yeah, kind of. Like I said, I've always been connected in some way, shape, or form. When I was going through some pretty tough times in my life, I really, really just kind of, broke down and cried sometimes with Christ, and just kind of just felt that energy and presence, and
so you can feel the energy.
Communicating.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
can feel it.
yeah,
Okay.
communicating and exchanging that energy, because a lot of people call it as prayer, but it's really a form of meditation. And when you really truly connect with yourself, you really begin to feel that presence of love. Every time if I did have a hard time, Christ always spoke to me. He just said, "Hey, it's okay. It's okay to be, to be sad, or it's okay. I'm always here for you." The inner voice,
Mm-hmm.
that essence is always there. And me just talking about it, you can always just feel that love and energy that's around you.
Yeah.
And it's nothing about, like, I think some people really just kind of just want an answer from Christ, but you really just have to just sit down and just release yourself, and just allow the Spirit to speak within you.
You got to go within. And that's the weird thing too, because I mean, you know what I'm saying? We talk about that, and it's very, it's something plain. It's like an everyday thing that we have this connection, and there's a feeling that's involved. There's a tingling sensation. There's a euphoria when we connect into the spirit realm. And I don't know if it's for everybody. We definitely teach it like it's for everybody, and we teach it the way that like anybody can tap in, anybody can tune into that frequency with God and in prayer and feel His presence, and that presence is a relief. You know what I'm saying? It helps us get through hard times and situations. But I do have friends in the churches and who have never encountered that. They've never felt that, and and they feel let down because they haven't felt that presence around them. And have you ever had any conversations with people like that who are like, and then sometimes they get on the offense and say, well, you guys are just looking for a feeling. You guys don't believe. You guys are just, if the feeling was gone, you guys would leave. That type of stuff, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. I have a lot of conversations then and a lot more now. Is that a lot of people can't really resonate with that Christ energy. I'm friends with some atheists, and they really just look at the science base of things. So it gives me a perception of a lot of people just don't know what what a what energy is
Yeah.
that flows through you. Everybody just prays and just wants answers. They want answers, but they're not realizing that they're seeking. They're going inside stuff. They're going into that darkness to truly find your inner self. Because a lot of people focus so much on a physical reality that that's all they know. That's all they know. And especially if you never been to church or have anything of that nature, you don't know what you're looking for. Even myself, I've always known about energy, but I didn't really know the full extent of energy until later on. But yeah, I definitely feel that if you have that personal experience, you know what you're looking for. But for those who never have that experience, it is definitely difficult for them to really discover that energy.
Have you
Um,
ever
that
had the opportunity to pray for someone, whether it's in person or over the phone, and them have that encounter for the first time, with you praying for them or speaking that blessing over them, and they feel that energy and that bliss for the first time? Have you ever had that encounter? Were you actually able to
uh,
kind of walk somebody through it or administer it to them or pray in faith that they'll have an encounter? Have you ever had that?
Not really, no.
Mm-hmm.
I've done prayer requests for people, and I let them know, that hey, if you need anything, I can help you there. But no, I've
Yeah.
never really had that kind of experience. But
Yeah, because
definitely,
I know you do private sessions with people and stuff too on your Facebook, and you offer sessions and stuff for people to help them find inner healing. But because that's what I was curious about. But everybody does
oh
it a
yeah,
little bit different too, right?
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, and speaking of that, yeah, I just started uh those sessions, so it's like it's really new. I never really promoted myself out there
hmm
because I felt at the time I wasn't really ready. Because I think you really have to be emotionally ready and set in that, to learn on how to heal somebody. Because a lot of people go through a lot of stuff, and if you're not ready for it, and this is where churches come in. If you're not ready for someone's unique experiences, whether it be through trauma or drug abuse or going through a divorce or things like that, you
yeah.
have to be mentally prepared for that.
hmm
And that's where I waited until now to give up my sessions, because I'm a very diverse person, and I accept everyone for who they are, and that's an key acceptance. And that's what Christ taught us is, you don't want to push people away. I mean, they're never going to really experience self-healing if you constantly push people away, or the term resonating. I mean, if somebody's negative, you can't just push them away. You got to just be able just to let them know you're there for them.
Yeah.
A lot of times people just don't have anybody to go to, or even know where to even begin for the healing process.
Yeah, that's a big part of it, man. A big part of it is just a lot of people, whether they book a private session with you or just in general, and it's weird because the people who reach out in that form that they really want it. Like, you know what I'm saying? If they're actually willing to pay for a session or pay for your time, they want it. And as far as the way faith works, like, they pretty much already got it. Like, if you can connect your faith to it, that you're willing to pay for it, it lets you know that they want it. And that's how the universe responds, or God responds. The scripture says that without faith, it's impossible to please God, right? So you find people who are just there ready, and most of them need somebody to talk to or need guidance. And like I've said in the past, like, a lot of people who reach out to me are people who want to do what I'm doing. They want to offer sessions for people. They have giftings and abilities within them that they want to loose to the world and to be used of God. They feel it there. They see it in their dreams, and it almost plagues them because they see it as it's somebody else and it's not in the now moment. So it's like, how can I do this? Can I do this? Is it in this? So they need somebody to talk to, whether it's activating stuff in the spirit, moving things around, shifting things in the spirit realm, which we do as well. So it's really cool to see, you know what I'm saying, many of us light workers, star seeds, on the same path of bringing healing, true healing, to, you know, the inner child, the inner wounds and stuff that we have, where things kind of leech onto us or cling to us. And there's ways to get rid of it. When you're talking about energy, in order to believe in positive energy, we have to believe in negative energy as well. And that's a universal law, polarities in everything. And just because it's negative doesn't mean it's bad. It doesn't mean that just because you have trauma or some bad things in your life. I believe that we're to learn from everything, you know, and I believe that if we can't learn from the past, that we're doomed to keep creating it or keep reliving it, or those entities that we've given permissions to be here in our minds and in our midst and things like that. So it's awesome that you talk about energy a lot, and you also go live on your Facebook page as well, giving lessons and short teachings about this energy and stuff too, and how people can connect. And that's awesome that you do that.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, and reason why I do videos and things like that is to be that voice, because like myself, I was in a very kind of depressive state for quite a few years, and I never had a voice for myself.
Yeah.
I think about the only conversation I really ever had was with my mom, and then all my other friends, they were always end up being into drugs and just never had no spiritual aspect of stuff.
Yeah.
So I really, really was by myself. So it took a lot of praying and meditating, and just that willingness, that self healing, that I gave myself. There was a lot of times that I really, really was depressed to the point where I just didn't want to be here anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I think everybody reaches that dark point in their life where they have to make a choice, whether they want to continue or whether they want to end it. And that right there is when you can encounter that love and that energy that dwells within you. That voice will say, "Hey, wake up! I've always been there for you."
Mm-hmm.
And that it,
That's
it gets me a little
no, that's part of
carried up right there,
yeah,
but
of like
that's real stuff right there.
getting the inner healing, that you're able to go back and see God working, or let God work in those other areas of your life. And like, we went through a Christian healing and deliverance sessions, right, years ago, when I came out of some really deep witchcraft, and I was going crazy. I had all kind of stuff going on with me, but we went through these deliverance classes, man, and I got a lot of healing through it, right? It changed me. Like, my relationship with Christ changed, but this was like monumental as well, to go and through these classes. And one of the things was seeing Jesus go into the different traumatic areas and what he would say and how he would bring healing, and to visualize that and say, okay, what would Jesus say here? What if Jesus stepped in, what would he do? Like, that's the way they taught me to do it. And obviously it doesn't have to be done that way, but it is about going back to those, those places of hurt, and kind of speaking healing there, or seeing healing. And we need people to help us do that, which is crazy to me, because I always look, it opens up the whole realm of possibilities of Jesus being outside of space and time, and him being able to travel, right, and to actually go back and fix your past and clean it up as if it has never happened. Like the word justified, like it's like a play on words. Just if I'd never sinned. He removes our sins as far as the east is to the west, as we don't have to carry that baggage anymore. Like, that's the person of Christ, right? And so when we get healing, Christ, or that positive energy, however you want to word it, I really don't care, but it allows you to, it can move to your past and make it like it never happened, where you're not affected by that anymore, where you should have been something that was a scar that you should have took to your grave, and is affecting the way that you act and the way that you believe and the way that you treat people because of something that happened to you when you was a child, or something that someone else did that you had no power over, but you're able to tap into the energy, the Christ energy, Christ consciousness at its highest level, and it's as if it never happened. That's the power of true inner healing.
Yes, definitely, definitely. Yeah, with I lost my train of thought there. But yeah, so oh man, I totally lost my train of thought right
All
now.
good, bro. I wanted to ask you as well, because we're talking about, I know we're skipping some things, and so we're talking about energy, we're talking about moving into the spirit realm and getting healing and stuff like that, but that has to start from a place as well, because like that's not a just a total Christian belief. Like, not all Christians or not all spiritual people believe in what we're talking about, right? It takes some things to happen, right? So from moving from one level of just being someone who goes to church, or someone who even goes, and even if you don't fit in, you still go, and that type of deal, which was kind of your story. But we talked a little bit before the show about you having this encounter back in 2010 that really took everything to like a deeper level of understanding. And it was talking about ET contact and being just all of this stuff that is real in the movies and it's real in the books, but understanding that, wow, this stuff is real for all of us. Like, anything that we can imagine or believe is real, and these entities and beings exist. And you had an encounter back in 2010, if you want to talk about that.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'll just touch base real quick. I mean, in terms of, like, I think a lot of people really focus too much on the church itself and trying to find a connection with that Christ energy, or that energy. But as a whole, you really have to just realize that you're not going to a place. The place you're really searching for is within inside yourself. That true teaching is going to be within you.
Yeah.
It always is, because at the end of the day, you're going to leave your church, you're going to leave your work, and at the end of the day, you're going to be home. That's where you really have to truly learn how.
Yeah. That's the power, man, to understand that heaven is within, that the kingdom of heaven is within you and everything that you need. And I like to say that we don't need anything that they're selling us. Like, we don't have to go to the pastor anymore. We don't have to go to the clergy. That's where Christ came in, and Christ bridged the gap. Where the high priest would have to go to God on your behalf, Christ comes in and he bridges the gap so that we have direct access to the Father. That we can go in those places ourselves through prayer and through meditation and access the Father's heart directly, and we can encounter. And so that changes Christianity as far as believing somebody's gospel, or you living off of my encounter with God. And that's one thing that's really near and dear to your heart, that we all can have these encounters, and we all can teach people how to do that.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And that's what it's about, right? Encountering God for ourselves.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yep. You got to have that. Yep. And this is where where you have to have that personal experience with yourself always, because it's always you. I mean, you close your eyes, it's always you. So we can get into by 2010. So in 2010, a lot of things happened, not just for me personally, but a lot of people were sharing the same experience. They were having this kind of awakening process, and I've always been connected spiritually. Anyways, so I don't know what it was, but but I'll just give you a little story. So I was at work, and I saw this newspaper in it, and I saw this the spiral that happened in Norway, and that really piqued my interest, because I've always been interested in ETs. I watched X-Files, a huge fan of Star Trek and things of that nature. So I've always looked beyond. I never limited myself. I knew that there was something out there, something always watching me and protecting me, and as well as personal experiences when I was a kid. I won't talk about that because that would just talk forever. So I've always been interested in ETs and things like that. I always saw moving stars and things like that. And my parents, they always told me they were satellites, but I learned recently that that's a different story there. So yeah, in 2010, something clicked in me, and it was really hard to explain, but something just clicked like a alarm clock, and I just started researching like crazy, everything from conspiracy theories to ET encounters, to the third eye, deep meditation and Kundalini and things of that nature. I was just so focused on this nearly for a whole month. I was just researching every day. I get off work, research constantly. And I started to look into channeling, things like that. And back then it was pretty a negative aspect of, oh, you don't want to be playing with this stuff because, demons are going to possess you and things of that nature. But for me personally, I always have to discover things for myself. I don't take what people say literally. You have to discover things for yourself. And that is definitely key in anybody. You have to experience things for yourself, or it's just words. It's just words. So I really dove deep into meditation and really just kind of just started to look at my body and started to feel the energy. And the funny story is back in 94, 95, Dragon Ball Z, I became a big fan of Dragon Ball Z. And a lot of people say things about anime and stuff, but the thing that really stuck with me about Dragon Ball Z was the energy, was the energy behind it, just boosting up your chi, your kai. And just, but the thing that really clicked with me is that Goku, he had a power called the Spirit Bomb. And the Spirit Bomb was focused, it just focused everybody's energy, their hopes, their dreams of saving the planet. It just was, everything was energy, from trees to roads to, to everybody and animals, and everything was just all connected. It just became one big thing. And when I looked at that, I was like, wow, this really clicked with me. So I looked into meditation and stuff back in 95, 96 and kind of experimented with it, but never really got anywhere with it. But when 2010 happened, I remembered all that. I was like, oh, hey, I remember this. So I really started to just look into grounding your feet in earth and just start imagining that energy flowing into me, using my feet as roots like trees and just flowing the energy through me. So I began to slowly build that up and start to have that energy flow through me. So while I was experimenting in that aspect, I started to want to figure out what was going on. Because I was a big fan of the Matrix movie. I mean, anybody who's real curious about X-Files and ETs and stuff like that always come across the Matrix as a foundation. So, so I started looking into that because a lot of people were like, man, a lot of this stuff is an illusion and things like that. And people were, when you turn into channeling, people transform into a being or an entity. And that really perked my curiosity of who is speaking this. So I had to find it for myself. I had to know on how to connect and just truly find out, what these soulless beings are. Well, not soulless, but, bodiless beings. So I began to start doing remote viewing. I kind of heard vaguely about remote viewing, so I wanted to find out exactly what the source of energy was. And this is where things really began to be quite interesting. And I was quite, I wouldn't say blessed, but everything was turned on. My third eye was turned on. I was just full blown in effect. The spirit just gave me all of this awareness to look at things. So when I was doing my remote viewing, I ended up encountering these gray beings, the famous gray entities. And while I was trying to look into like underground bases and trying to just kind of get the fill out of what makes this world run. But these gray beings were always there, and they were kind of giving me like a psychic, like trying to cut me off, but I didn't allow it to because I always had Christ. I was like, okay, Christ, you need to just protect me as I go through this.
Yeah, a lot of times when you're approached by that kind of stuff, that pulls you out of the meditation. So, okay, this is getting deep. I'm not trying to get my soul stolen or get abducted, and we cut it off there because I've had similar encounters where beings will come, and it's scary. You're sitting at home by yourself, and you think of beings in your room watching you, or like physically manifesting. You know, so that's awesome. You kept going with it with that light of Christ, man.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, it was a trippy experience. I had to turn it off a couple of times because I was just like, holy cow,
Yeah, yeah,
because I had so many experiences with shadow beings. I had to really be
yeah,
careful because I
yeah.
I can feel energy, I can feel beings around me all the time. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, if you seriously think, that you are alone in this world, you're not. I mean, if you could see beyond the veil, you would realize that there is just thousands and thousands of beings around you at all times. It's pretty trippy experience.
Yeah,
So, but I had to keep going because, if you allow fear to run your life, you're never gonna know the answer. You're never gonna know anything. So I just kept pushing and pushing and pushing, and these entities, were getting pretty ticked off with me. But I was able to uh, kind of go into the underground bases, kind of learn how things ran. Um, and it was a pretty trippy experience. I I don't know if I should really talk about it or not. I talked with Truth Seeker here a little bit about my encounters with it. I don't know if I should really talk about it or not.
if you
But
think, if you think, I mean, if you think it, you know what I'm saying, people want to benefit from it, or people can benefit from it, you know, whether it's a danger or a certain way to do it that can help them, definitely, man, you know,
oh yeah,
like an
definitely.
easier way to do it, because I know you said you have a different approach as well.
Oh yeah, definitely. But yeah, so if you guys ever do really decide to really channel beings, really know your surroundings. So when I really started to deep, dig deep into these underground bases, I really kind of got the awareness, that our psychic link and our energy is really the key to breaking through this reality. Um, we are very special beings, we really are. And these entities that, you know, they're disappearing right now, but at the time they are really so focused on learning on how this energy works. They're trying to tap into it. Either they're trying to bring something in or bring something out. And children, I learned that children were involved in these kind of tests, and this is what really, it really concerned me a lot. And these underground bases are really heavily guarded. I mean, there's literally, I mean, anything supernatural or any sci-fi thing you watch, man, is like legit. It really has some kind of truth to it. So not only do they have these little gray beings that are psychically linked, but they also have these warriors that are with them. You could call them like lizard type people beings. It's heavily guarded. I mean, literally, there's messing around with this stuff. They didn't know we got army, we got um secret. It's all of a, and when you're diving into this connection with and learning more about the connection with other beings that surround us. I mean, they're everywhere.
Yeah,
They're underground. They're in the water. They're above us. And just like I learned, and True Seeker pointed out, the Testament of Solomon, they're even the stars in the sky themselves. We think we're looking at stars, but they're really just a form of energy, a form of being. And I've had encounters physically with balls of light just skimming through the sky,
yeah,
orange
yeah.
balls and things of that nature. And I even recently had an encounter in my dream a couple of days ago. Uh, Something told me to look outside in my dream, and I saw the aurora borealis just right out in front of my house, and I'm like, what in the world is going on here? Um, I went outside, and then this orange ball came from that aurora borealis and stopped right above me and was just checking me out.
How
And I
high?
was trying to
Like
communicate
how
with it.
far? How far was it above you?
It was pretty far. I would say maybe, I don't know, maybe 1,000, probably 1,000 feet or more. It was
Okay,
pretty high, but it
okay.
stopped there. But the interesting thing is that I closed my eyes trying to communicate with it, right? And then I opened my eyes and it was gone. But this dog showed up like right after, and I knew subconsciously I was dreaming, so I don't want to be spooked by it. But I was like, oh hey, come here, dog, whatever. But that entity that was up there transformed into that dog, and it was testing me. It was testing to see on how I would react, because with dreams themselves, they actually, dreams are a communication from, it can be from different beings.
Yeah.
It can be self-healing. We're all connected psychically in some way, shape, or form. So it was a quite amazing encounter I had just with that one alone.
So
And that's how you kind of, yeah, go ahead.
no, I would say, we're kind of talking about contacting ETs or them contacting you, right? So would you say that you contacted those entities as you're going into those realms, or are you just randomly seeing what's out there? They're just randomly passing by, because a lot of people have that fear of astral projection and going into some of the other realms, is they're scared they're going to get possessed. They're scared that they're going to encounter demons and darkness and things like that, or shadow beings or whatever that can harm them. A lot of people believe so that's a barrier, and they never get past that fear. But knowing, if you're walking in the energy of Christ, that perfect love casts out all fear, and that's what Christ's energy is the perfect love. And so that's a boldness that allows you to go there, because you're made of that love, and you're one with Christ. You're seated in heavenly places with Christ Jesus. To know who you are, to be able to access those realms and not be afraid to move past an alien gray that you think may have ulterior motives in those realms, right? There's places I've gone and I've stopped. And I'm not an expert, man. I'm really not. But I've been to places where I've stopped, and it scared me. Like, I felt like something was pulling my spirit out of my body, or seeing a being in the room with me or something, and it scares me, and I snap out of it, and I come back to my body, and there's all of that stuff. And so you have to learn, like, even when you're trying to leave your body and you actually feel the euphoria and the sensation of you leaving, like, that can snap and wake you back up. So there's a bunch of trial and error in trying to learn with it, but so there's a confidence there too, to know who you are and know that nothing can harm you, right? But
Oh yeah, definitely.
as far as exploring and contacting entities, so have you set up through meditation or stargazing to go out there with the intention of what I like to call, when it's dealing with ETs, is a CE5 encounter, where you go out and stargaze, and they don't contact you, but you actually in turn contact them, and they show up. Have you had those encounters?
I've had a lot of meditation encounters.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely, not only from different ETs, but for me, seeking. I mean, I actually search for them.
Yeah.
And I always definitely had different encounters. I always stargaze. A lot of my meditation was outside. Because I wanted to have.
Yeah.
I always had that mindset of, hey, if I can see you guys through meditation, I want to see you physically.
Exactly.
Right.
And you
I always
can,
had
though.
that mindset. Hey, I want to see you physically.
There's a confidence
And
there. Yeah.
but oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, and the thing is that I was always being shown, but they couldn't show me entirely their physical form, because it's a different projection. But they showed me through stars. I didn't know, like I said again, I didn't know at the time, but I always saw these moving stars, and I'm like, what is going on?
And
What
they're
is this? And there
communicating
was one
telepathically.
time,
Yeah.
quite a few times. Yeah, I had quite a few times where I literally saw a fleet of moving stars, like literally 30 stars are moving.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my gosh, what
Yeah.
in the world is
Outside
going
the
on?
atmosphere. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, it was uncanny,
Yeah.
and it was usually after my meditation session, and
Yeah.
that was my answer there. But I couldn't click it together at the time. But yeah, as far as connecting with ETs, you definitely have to have that a trial and error thing, because the fear really takes in. Because I mean, literally, if you see a being just staring at you, because that's what you get, you will get an image of that person's face right in front of your face, like they'll just be right there, and you're like,
Yeah.
holy moly,
Yeah.
what is going on?
Mm-hmm.
And it can scare the crap out of you, because you're going, whoa, am I hallucinating? Is this for real? You
Yeah.
know. But no, you definitely have to have that kind of mindset, and it's nothing to fear, because you have to look at it this way: is that it's just like meeting a stranger. You know, they could be a super nice person, or they may be out to get you. You don't know. You really don't know, and that's where you just have to communicate.
Yep.
And with me personally, I learned about shields creating shields around you, using that, and like I said, using that Yahshua, that Christ energy, to build a golden aura around me. And you really have to learn on how to protect yourself with energy as you are exploring into that psychic realm. You really have to take precautions, because it's no joke. It's not a game, and that it frustrated me quite a bit when people were just like, oh, okay, let's go channel these people and let's see what happens.
Yeah.
And people just allowing these beings to inhabit their body. And I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
You do realize that when beings come into you, they become a part of you. Their residue becomes a part of you. And that's something I'm doing some research on now as well, is that you really, it's not no child's game. You really have to be careful when you start, learning how to do projections and astral traveling, and things like that, because astral travel itself is a form of leaving your body. You're still connected by your cord, just like when you're a baby. You're still connected by your cord, but it leaves your body vulnerable to different beings if you're not using the right protection, using your guides and guardians to protect your body while you're traveling through. And that's definitely something that everybody should really do research on, every aspect. Definitely.
Yeah. You got to learn how to protect yourself psychically, like going out there into those realms and dealing with people. And it's a trial and error thing too, but it also bleeds over into reality, where you got to learn how to protect yourself around people and information you share and who you get close to and things like that, right? You find people who are manipulative and you don't know that when you first meet them because they're good at wearing a mask or stuff. You know what I'm saying? So you learn that with people too. And just like you can discern the spirits, those spirits are on people and in people, right? We're talking about them living in them and on them and around them, that they keep company with negative entities or a lying spirit or conniving or backbiting spirits. It's so funny that we get deep with it, because there's a manifestation of an entity, but the spirits are personas that people embody. And I've got all the Bible scriptures written down of like spirit of love, spirit of joy, spirit of peace, spirit of envy, like where it talks about these, what we would say are feelings maybe, but they're personifications that land upon people. Lying, backbiting, stealing. It's a spirit that gets upon you, and it lives and moves through you, and it feeds off of you. And we would maybe say that was an emotion, but that's not us. To identify that, you have to know who you are, because that's what those spirits try to do, especially like the familiar spirits, which would like to tell you that they're a part of you. And so when they talk, you feel like it's coming from you, because you feel like that spirit is a part of you as well. There was a question in the chat. I'm gonna answer that right quick. But Jesse says, "Is meditation and prayer one in the same?" I'll let you hit that, but I'll say that we like to. It's the phrase is kind of coined. Prayer is when we talk to God. Meditation is where God talks to us. I think that they're one and the same. I believe it's more of a conversation where prayers, like we can offer up our prayers or talk to the Father, and then we leave. Hold on. I want to talk to you. So it's a conversation piece where we have to be able to be still, or we have to wait or tarry, as they call it. And it's done within the prayer closet, in the prayer shawl, in your quiet time with Christ. And that's where we hear our answers whenever we can go to that place where nothing else matters, just that now moment. And there you're able to receive. So I believe that prayer and meditation, I always say them together, because to me, they definitely go together.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, if you really do research on meditation, I mean, that literally is what praying is. And it's just getting to be, discovering within yourself, going back within yourself again. And that's where, just like we were talking about, encountering different beings and entities. It's a form of channeling. I mean, meditation is a form of channeling, and you can heal yourself. You can be guided through guides, things of that nature.
Yeah.
I definitely say they are definitely one and the same.
Yeah.
They're just worded differently.
Yeah,
for me personally.
It's the wording too, because like a lot of times I'll deal with clients who or do sessions with, and they'll say they want to know if I channel, and I think that that is a buzzword too. Like, oh, are you a channeler? Do you, is there an entity or something that's going to talk to me through you? That type of, and people, because people want to touch the divine. People want to know that they're not alone and that the other side is real. So I feel like I can get some kudos points if I say yes, but I don't, because I feel like that I channel the Holy Spirit. Like I'm able to work with the Holy Spirit and I can work with energy. But as far as letting an angel or a being take over my body and speak to you, it doesn't happen like the movies. But we're able to feel, as we're able to discern, we're able to kind of pick up on those energies, why they're there, how they can leave, and the different energies that are around you as well. So I've got some studying that I'm doing, and I know this isn't the case for every channeler, but there's a big link that I found between people who channel and, get this, ventriloquist. How they're able to separate themselves from their body and use the word channeling to say what they really feel. Like they have all of these ideas and these thoughts, and they feel like they're a healer and that they can reach deep down and move things around, but they don't have the confidence to speak it in boldness. So they have to, it's not, I didn't say that, it's the Spirit. The Spirit told you that when they knew it before they went in, so they changed their voice at times. Bashar, all of these guys. I watched a documentary on ventriloquist, and the person sitting here, so it shifts the blame. They're able to say what they want with the puppet, or they're able to say what they want through the Spirit. Oh, I didn't tell you that. The Spirit did. It takes the repercussions off of you, and that's a weird thing that I found. And the reason that I wanted to look into that, and I wanted to look into it at all, was because I do a character, like I do voices and stuff, right? And just playing around that voice, and I embody a person, and it's essentially a persona, and I do it as a just changing my voice and being a character with some friends, and they used to have me do prank calls all the time and stuff. But I could say stuff as that character that Derek can't say, and I could say it with confidence, and I can even prophesy, like say biblical stuff and prophesy the future over people without fear of repercussion or if I'm wrong. And it's weird that I found the link between me and that character that I've created. He can do it. The ventriloquist, the blame falls upon the puppet. And they'll curse you out. Somebody will sit there and have a ventriloquist, and he'll curse you out, or a woman will be in the room, and they'll degrade the woman and say how good she looks, and I want to sleep with you, all this kind of weird stuff that little shy, timid, nerdy guy would never say. But that puppet allows them to do it. The same thing with the channeling. I've noticed that people have this insight. People have this stuff that they would like to share, but them and themselves don't have the supernatural ability or the confidence to do it. So the entity, do you see what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, definitely. I've actually been noticing that myself. I've been actually observing that for a past year. Is a lot of people really, I mean, we can't say it's or not, but I definitely do feel that their self-worth isn't, that their worth is important to them. I mean, for the voice, I mean, for voice, your voice is very important, and you have that. You are in this body, and you got to have that, you have to express that. You are expressing yourself, you're expressing what you feel inside. And no matter what it is, it's still you, you got to be able to handle what you talk about. I mean, I've noticed some people, they'll talk about their, say, Bob, for example. Say Bob will talk about, how he's feeling negative some days, positive some days, he's learning stuff. And then he'll create this character name, we'll just call him Green. He'll create this Green character. He's super positive and exciting, telling people about, the fifth dimension and, things of that nature. So it's like it's two different personalities, like you said. I talk about a lot about personas and how personas really run a lot of people's lives. It's just a way of either not being able to find that balance within yourself, or just creating that mask to hide your feelings. There's so many people that really say, I wear a mask of happiness, but really I'm sad and lonely and stuff. And I'm like, you can't be doing that. You got to be able to become one with yourself. If there's something bothering you, you're still connected. You can't just shove it to the side and say, hey, I'm going to get back to you later. Oh, you got to fix yourself, because at the end of the day, it's going to overflow. Your cup is going to overflow, and you're going to end up having a mental breakdown or things like that.
Yeah, and that's really how simplistic personas and spirits are. Like, we like to be like really deep. We like to think, like I said, go back to, we think that they're an entity that lives in a faraway galaxy that can come here and do mischief, which that's true too, right? But a spirit is just like we're talking, it's a vibration. It's a thought pattern, right? Isn't that what the scriptures teach us? That the spirits are vibrational thought patterns that are called strongholds in your life that affect the way you think, affect the way you believe. We call them ungodly beliefs as well. Something that goes against what God has in store for you for your greater good. It's an ungodly belief. It shouldn't be there. We have to deal with it. Why is it there? Did you invite it in? Did somebody lie to you? And we talk about Solomon, we go back to the Queen of Sheba, which had all these questions to trick Solomon and to prove him wrong and to disprove his God and make him look bad and his God discredit Yahweh. And he answered all of her questions that she had to trick him in her beliefs. And when he did that, those evil spirits left by answering those questions, those beliefs that she had. The same way, whether it's a doctrine, whether it's a lie, fear-based thoughts that you believe, somebody told you, you've accepted, and it takes a prophet, someone who can speak the word of God or speak the word of truth over you, and watch those spirits leave. Just as simple as a conversation. That's when you are doing it right. When we don't have to have a session, we can do a session, but just through conversation, we have the ability to discern the spirits that are at play and tell them where they can go to get rid of them through conversation without the person even knowing sometimes. But the ones that take root, a lot of times that's where the deliverance sessions come in, and then we have to take it a little bit further and really focus some intention on it. But a lot of times that's just the power of truth, the power of the spoken word in general.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yep. And then I wrote this down just so I won't forget. So I'm getting back into different thought patterns and things like that. We have to look into like parasites and those inner demons. A lot of people, when they learn about channeling and things like that, or even just they don't know where these negative thoughts are, or I'm in a happy mood or a sad mood, things like that. They don't know where that source is coming from, like you said. And that's where you have to learn how to do that self-searching and self-healing. And this is where you learn about spiritual parasites. Spiritual parasites is a huge thing, because it's not just just ET beings and stuff like that. It's actually, you have to look beyond the veil and look that there is actual parasites that can attach to the body. And if it's so bad, you're not taking care of yourself. And I'm not no doctor, don't quote me on that. But if you look into like cancer and tumors and things like that, a lot of times that is where your spiritual being is being it's being sucked, your energy is getting sucked out. And it's always in interesting areas like the stomach, for example. That's where some of our main source of energy is, with the spirit body. Yeah. And a lot of parasites and cancers and things like that happen within the stomach, and it happens within the brain as well. Tumors and cancers, which is also where the third eye is, pineal gland is, as well as how you can project life and things like that. And there is a lot of studies and even scientific research that when the spirit leaves, it exits through here. Yeah. So you just have to put all these pieces of the puzzle together. It's quite, life is complex, man. Yeah. Really.
I mean, the whole parasite thing, just that by itself, with understanding entities and how they work, you have to be able to understand the physical realm, which in a sense is the microscopic realm that we can't see them unless we have a really powerful microscope that lets us see these tiny beings on your skin, in your body, in your eyes, right, all over the place. Some of them good, some of them bad. Many of them live off of the bacteria on your skin. When you bathe, you're killing a lot of these parasites. When you wash your hands, you're killing a lot of them. You can't see them. And many of them fight each other. They're at war with one another. And this is an unseen war that we don't know. And the ancients didn't know until they was able to see them with microscopes. And I'm pretty sure you've heard me talk about this, but there's a lot of ancient texts that were dealing with the banishment of dragons and of worms out of the body, to make the worms leave the body, and they would ward off these worms that would get in there and they would make them sick. I mean, what is it that makes you sick? It's the parasites, right? You let parasites get in your body, you get sick. What did Jesus call that? They call it a spirit of infirmity, of any type of ailment. That was a spirit that got into your body, and that we see it's done with almost a spiritual war, essentially, because we can't see it, but there's a war going on that we can't see on our body and for our body. The same way it's going on spiritually, of these beings that live off of us, our fears, our emotion. They suck the energy, they suck the life out of us, and they're there, and we have to deal with them. It's as above, so below. What's happening in the spirit realm is happening on earth. What's happening on earth is happening in heaven. What's happening in heaven is happening inside of us. The kingdom of heaven is within. It's a mirror image. It's a mirror image.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yep, and that's where you have to really learn on how to look at yourself, because I mean, if we all look through a microscope, man, I mean, we would all literally just freak out with all the parasites and everything like that. But you really just don't realize what surrounds you, both spiritually and physically, until you really pay attention.
Yeah.
Pay attention. I mean, just like chemtrails in the sky. I just talked to a person last week, and I said, "Oh, hey, there's a chemtrail. What's a chemtrail?"
Yeah.
I thought a lot of people knew about this already.
Yeah.
But it's just that self-awareness is learning that you do have an inner fight within yourself, with these parasites, and how I view it is you got an angel on one shoulder and a demon on the other shoulder. They always use that phrase, and that's what's going on in your body. You got viruses and antiviruses. They're constantly colliding with your blood cells and white blood cells and things like that. It's your whole body itself is its own being, and you have a huge, just like Osmosis Jones, you have an Osmosis Jones life within your body.
Yeah.
And it can mess with you in your mind.
Yep.
And
your gut, the food that you're eating, the intake, all that stuff. It all plays about how you feel mentally, spiritually, emotionally. Everything comes into play with it, and it's all part of spirituality. That's how complex it is, and it really gets down to what you want to focus on too. It's hard to focus on all of it. It's a lot. It's overwhelming, but you got to start somewhere, right?
Yep, definitely. Yep, and not a lot of people, do research like I do. You have to be very open-minded. If you're closed-minded, you're only going to focus on one perception. Everything else fades away, and you can't really put the pieces of the puzzle together.
And then you're the only one that's right a lot of times when you studied and you're closed-minded, and you're like, nope, I've studied it. This is the way it is, and there's many different perspectives on all of this stuff that we're talking about. There's a bunch of perspectives that would say that would demonize everything that we're talking about. You know what I'm saying? So everybody's reality is subjective to their experiences, and so we've been to a lot of these places, and it's weird for me because I've been to the channeling place or the dealing with spirits and entities when I was a teenager. I got possessed and I almost died. Like, I was going crazy, man. It was very bad, and I was delusional. But now I'm in that same realm as I got healed and got set free and had this journey with Christ and into the light. Now he's able to show me how that side works, and I know the pitfalls. So with talking about it, we always want to, like you said at the beginning, you want to protect yourself. You need to do the studying, and don't just, don't just go into it blindly, because there are pitfalls and there are dangers, and there's people there's people out here that want to deceive you, teachers, there's entities that want to deceive you as well. So just to be on top of your game, but with it, don't fear anything. Understand that really perfect love casts out all fear, and love is the key. Love is what all of the Bible, the scriptures, hang upon. Love, those commandments, and there's nothing greater than that. No, I don't care what anybody tells you. There's nothing greater than universal love, and to be, not teach the message of Christ, but be the message of Christ to a world who many people have never experienced love. And then you're the walking, talking version of Jesus. You're the Word made flesh, walking around, dealing with your Christ come back. You're the resurrection of Christ back on the earth, and people will never experience that. But through conversation with you, people, this is for everybody. This isn't just for Adam or me. This is for everybody listening. That's what we always want to make it clear, that that's what it's about. It's about for you to take these concepts and these ideas and to put them to work, put them to use, and then let God blow your mind. Work with God. Don't work against him. That's our problem. Working against God. And we got to eventually get to a point where, like, okay, let me just submit myself to the process. Let me see what's really going on here. And life begins to open up. We begin to see the synchronicities and all of these things happening in our lives. And those are amazing. Those are beautiful. So I guess one last question, man. And since I mentioned synchronicity, what do you think synchronicities are, man? Like some of the crazy ones, you know what I'm saying? Just like that only you and God would know, you know?
Oh man, that's a tough one. Because like with me personally, I've always used, Christ Joshua has always walked beside me at all times. To me, I've always viewed myself as an observer. I look at all aspects, and one of the key things is what I've learned is that we don't want to, when we talk to people, we don't want to say, hey, this is my truth. You need to listen to me.
Yeah.
What you're doing is wrong.
Yeah.
You need to be able to learn to communicate with other people and listen to their story.
Yep.
And you be calm and collective about it, and you speak your experiences and intertwine it together.
Yeah.
So there's no arguments.
Yeah.
If you're calm and collective, you're good. But if you start saying, hey, this is my truth, this is what's going on, what you're doing is wrong, we don't learn anything from it, because we can all learn from each other. I don't care what state you're in, whether you've had no experiences with spirituality, or if you're huge into the church and you've encountered many things like yourself. Mm-hmm. We have to learn how to better communicate with each other.
That's a huge key, and it can be hard to learn, especially coming from a religious standpoint where you have to be right, because you stake, like I say, you stake your eternity upon these belief systems. You give your hard-earned money to this pastor for this belief system. So somebody who comes along and challenges what your pastor is teaching, or what you have staked your eternal salvation upon, so you get defensive. You get this weird uneasiness in your body. You want to leave. You want to be irate and mean and belittle, but you have to come, and you want to be right about everything. And that's crazy for someone to believe that they're right about every single thing, right? People believe that, though. They believe that them and their church have the truth and the only truth. They don't have a piece of the truth, like the only truth. And there's many people that I followed over the years, and pastors and teachers and preachers who preach this way, and it's not right at all. But I remember when I first was able to show grace and be around people who believed other things than me, and me not get contentious with them and try to tell them that they were in a false religion, or tell them that they were being deceived by the Catholic Church and things like that. And to be able to have an interaction and find what we agree on and build upon that, versus, well, you know what? You guys are pagan. Your religion is founded upon paganism. Like, I used to be real combative and stuff when I was in the church. And so for me to move into a more place of humility and less ego driven, and less having to prove that I'm right to justify my own feelings, right? I have to make you look like you're wrong and feel like you're wrong, and try to convince you to believe what I believe to justify or validate my belief or my disbelief, essentially, because maybe I am wrong, right? That type of thinking,
Oh yeah, definitely. Yep. Yeah, like I always tell everybody, I'm like, I'm always learning. I never just get stuck in one way because you're gonna constantly discover new things. And if you feel that you can't, then you're going to begin to limit yourself. But I want to talk about, since we've been talking about this, is acceptance. A lot of people feel that they have to fit in or be accepted because they don't want to experience that black sheep aspect or be alone. Because I mean, we all want to connect with people. Being open-minded like myself, I can't really be fully open with people, so I just have to just uh, talk to them from what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Just kind of hints of truth or hints of what I'm experiencing.
Mm-hmm.
But I think a lot of people have this acceptance issue where they just want to be accepted. They want to be loved.
Yeah.
And one of the key things with love is that we're looking to look outside of that what we perceive love to be. Love is an energy. Love is an energy that can overflow within your being. It's that sense that when you love yourself and learn how to love yourself, then that acceptance of love will flow out to you and to others. But without that truly understanding, because a lot of people are just like, oh, let me give you a hug, I love you, things like that, right? Right? And that's just kind of like a one moment, oh, hey, that felt good, right? And it does. I
Yeah.
mean, you smile at somebody, man, that can just brighten up
Yeah.
their whole day.
Yep.
I'm around people a lot, so just giving people say, hey, how's your day? How can I help you? And smile, man, that could just brighten their whole day up.
Yep.
Uh, and then it's up to each individual to discover on where that love I just gave them, because I just gave them my love right there. And it's up to them to discover more of that love. And when you learn on that love fully within yourself, um, that's where that connection spirit, with the spirit, or like I said, with Christ Joshua, begins to take effect.
Small practical things, like you said, a smile, a hug, a handshake, little things like that, man, just to let people know that they're cared about, and that they're special, because they are, and everyone is, even if they don't feel like that. And that's the whole thing, is like showing love to people, or becoming love to people who have never felt love in their life, and then you are a walking embodiment of that love. As we're coming upon the end of the show, man, I wanted to I promised some people that I would pray us out, and that I would pray over some people, and anybody who's going through a hard time, anybody who needs an activation in the spirit and just want to feel connected, that we could pray. So if you want, I'll let you pray. Start it off, and it's just prayer as far as offering up over a blessing over someone, but understanding just essentially the power of the spoken word as well, as the word that is spoken over you, and the power of you joining your faith with our faith to move in activation wherever you are, whatever you're dealing with, that it can be released, that you can be renewed, that you could be free in every area of your life. This is the hope. This is the gospel. This is the good news, that you can be free in every area. No addiction, no bad thoughts, no ailment, no nothing hurting you, but to walk in true freedom. And so we're going to join our faith with yours. If you're listening, if you need prayer, we want to make sure that we're going to offer that. So I'll let you take it, Adam, and then I'll close us out.
All right, sounds good. All right. Thank you, Joshua, for allowing this time with our viewers and listeners. We send love and healing out for you guys and girls, just to realize, that internal love has always been with you at all times. A lot of people just try to seek and seek and seek within self, and outside self. But you just have to just take that time. So you just have to just take that time and just allow that spirit to come within you, um, and learn and educate yourself with that, um, and just bring that healing within. Um, even at times, when life seems to be really dark, um, that energy is always there. Christ's energy always there. Angels are always there for you at all. Just allow that spirit, even now, those who are listening, just allow that spirit to come within you and feel that eternal love that shines always with you at all times. Because you're never alone in this world.
Amen. Amen. And anybody out there who is just going through a rough time, anybody who's experiencing pain and trauma in their life and they're just trying to get over some things, I'm just going to speak a blessing right now. Father, I thank you for my friends right now, everyone who's listening, everybody who's watching this right now. I ask you to bless them and keep them, that the things that they're believing for, the things that they're hoping for, the person that they see themselves that seems so far away or so distant that they want to bring into reality, that person who is carefree, that person who is contention free, God, I just pray that it would manifest in their life to show them that they can have whatever they ask for in prayer. They can have whatever they're believing for. So right now, any imaginations and any thoughts that war against the mind of Christ right now in my friend's life right now, we just bind them and we call them a curse and we send them to dry places. Even now, that your rest and that your peace will fall upon anyone right now under the sound of my voice, that they will find that peace and the peace that sets them free, that they are free indeed. And we thank you for the peace that surpasses all understanding, a peace that no man can give and no man can take away. This is our inheritance, that they would find you and seek you in that quiet place, and that you will reveal to them the desires of your heart, and they will begin to see themselves and see others the way that you see them. I ask for your vision, I ask for your mind and for your heart right now. Bless in Jesus' name, in Yeshua's name. Amen. Amen. Brother, thank you for coming on, man. If you want to share your pages and stuff where people can connect with you, like I said, you have services and you do private one-on-one sessions with people that are very powerful for people who want to connect. Many people don't know how. So that's essentially what we do, is we set up a place of meditation, of prayer, to go into those realms and to go with them, but then teach them how to do it for themselves. So if you want to give your info out, man, to let people know how they can connect with you, go ahead and do that.
Oh yeah, definitely. I got a public Facebook page. You can just type it in at Facebook at Real Talk Adam Starseed Bay, and I can give you guys private sessions if you feel the need that I can assist you in that. As well as I'm also on Facebook, on YouTube as well, at Lightbeing 444, and I give different insights as well as helping you guys learn how to discover that stuff. So yeah, so I'm always here for you guys if you guys feel the call.
Amen. Let me know if you guys want to see Adam back on the show again, maybe do some roundtable discussions. We have a lot of like-minded friends, and I'm trying to do some more roundtable stuff. And if you'd like to see Adam get in on that and see him on the show more often, let us know in the comment section as well, just so we can kind of make plans moving forward. I think he'll make for some great roundtable discussions with him and a couple other friends of like-minded interests. So with that being said, I'm going to say peace and shalom. Again, thank you everyone who is supporting on Patreon. If you want to support, head on over to patreon.com/TruthSeekah, and there you can sign up for any level of giving. Any level that you want, anywhere from $1 up to 10, 15, whatever it is that you can do a month. All of it's appreciated. I thank you guys so much for helping out over there. And we're going to be going live a lot more. We've got a lot of cool stuff that's coming on the way. We got some new merch available. Those of you who are watching on video, you can see some of the merch that we've designed, and some merch available at TruthSeekah.com. Also, the link is in the description there. Any way that you guys want to support is appreciated 100%. So thank you guys. Thanks for hanging out, man. I've totally enjoyed this. With that, I'm going to say peace and shalom. I love each and every one of you guys. Peace, peace. Oh, yeah. What's up, Grim? I see you in the chat coming in late. What's up, my brother? Shalom, shalom. Peace.
Your will so much higher than mine, so much higher than mine, so much deeper than mine, so much deeper than mine.
Well, that does it for this episode, folks. To hear more episodes of the Truth Seeker podcast, head over to TruthSeekah.com. And if you're wanting to support the show and get rewards, go to our Patreon page at patreon.com/TruthSeekah.